Welcome back. Mark Bertoli returning to Midday today from Abbott Wealth Management. Great to have you back, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're talking today about the housing market bubble as seen by the Bank of Canada.
Yeah, well, it was, I was studying it over the last couple days because, again, we try and make things relevant to the BC Interior and to the people who watch Midday. So I took what they had to say and looked at a few things. So very interesting. The Bank of Canada back in December said that the Canadian housing market could be overpriced by between 10 and 30%. So just recently, one of the guys from the Bank of Canada just came out earlier this week and said, well, actually, I don't think so. One of the things that happens when you're in a bubble is you get a lot of speculation. People jumping in and buying and flipping houses and real estate and stuff. That's not happening. So what he said is that he doesn't believe this is speculation, so that's a good sign that it's not a bubble. But what he said is it's true demand and low interest rates that are driving this market. And then you start thinking about the Toronto market, the Vancouver market, the Asian influence into Vancouver. Well, the volumes there really influence the prices in Canada, especially those areas. So now let's take it back to Kamloops. So I know Tracy Moffat's appeared many times here about real estate, and she's a friend of mine, so I gave her a call this morning, and she's past president of the real estate board. And Tracy said, I am so busy, at least 15% increase in volume over last year. Really? In the first quarter. And I said, well, why do you think that is? And she said, one of the things is the great weather we've had. Spring's moved forward, right? And the low interest rates. So she's receiving multiple offers on properties. She said things are going very well in the Kamloops market.
Oh, that's good to know.
So usually lots of activity like that supports prices. If not, even if you're getting multiple offers, that sometimes will cause an upward pressure in prices eventually as well.
Yes. And I find it interesting when a blanket statement is made about how our real estate situation is doing across the country, up by 10 to 30, but how can you account for all of the different pressures and economic situations in different parts of the country? Like what's going on in Vancouver is not what's going on in Halifax. What's going on in Kamloops is not what's going on in Toronto.
Well, it's very interesting. Part of that whole study on the Canadian real estate market came back to lowering the interest rates back in January by the Bank of Canada. One of their objectives there was to spur economic growth, which is happening. It's starting to take hold in manufacturing. Those are markets like Toronto. So where the Alberta market might not be doing so well, Toronto's doing very well because there's job growth, manufacturing, and so on. Another part of the study said that Canada, we don't have a market where all markets fall. A lot of times we'll have isolated incidents of different pockets of the country, real estate reacting differently. So very interesting and good news for our economy. I mean, it looks like Kamloops is doing well.
Which is great. We have a question of the week. It's not so much a question as it is a reminder. So we'll put that up on the screen. Income tax filing date to avoid penalties, but it's been put off a little bit.
Well, very interesting.
Let's talk about that.
CRA released a statement on Monday and was very specific because I think on Friday they came out and said, well, it's been bumped to the 5th. What CRA came out on Monday said that if you've filed and there's a mistake and there's a request for information, then you have to the 5th. But for everybody else who is filing, it is Thursday, the 30th.
It is still.
It is still.
Oh, I thought it was for everyone.
Yeah, no, they were very clear in the directive they put out on Monday, because I think someone got that story and ran with it, and out it came that it was going to be the 5th, but that's for corrections for people who have already filed.
Okay.
So very important. Now, we addressed this a couple weeks ago, but I think it's very important we talk about this. If, for instance, you owed $1,000 and you didn't file on time, you instantly get a 5% penalty on that amount. If you owe $1,000 and you file on time, then you have to pay interest on that $1,000 until you pay it. So very important whether you owe money or not. Well, if you don't owe money, it's not as important, but if you owe any money, You need to be on time or you instantly incur a 5% penalty.
And you don't want to be paying more than you have to.
We want to save people
right?
money here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. It's painful enough to have to pay, but to have to pay interest or a fine on what you owe, no thank you.
Right.
Right.
And May 1st, you know what the significance of that day?
This Friday?
That's the day you start planning for next year's tax bill.
Is that right? I just filed my taxes a week ago. I don't owe, but I'm not going to think about it for a while. May 1st, maybe for some, but
there you go.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Well, it's just good planning.
Yes, it is. Mark, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Any questions for Abbott Wealth? Information is on the screen. We're back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.